Have you ever had an idea that was so clear it was like a 3D movie? Have you ever told a friend about the idea and they told you, wow, if you could only make that into a business, you would be rich? Sound familiar? Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, with my co-host, Roosevelt Williams III, and we're here to help you take action. This is free information. We only ask one thing: build a strong foundation and mindset. We have insight to help you get started. Most of us just need a push.
Build that better. Tradition. Family.
Culture.
Business.
Community.
Welcome to Knowledge to Currency. I'm your host, Senator Porter, and I have my guest, Joe McClain. He is not only in the military, but he's an author, he's a poet, and I'd like to discuss several things: his business, mental health, military, all those different things. So welcome to the show, Joe.
I appreciate you for having me. Thank you.
So how did a guy from East Chicago end up in San Diego?
Military, Navy, came out the recruiting office, about to go to the Air Force. Big brother came out the Navy, said, "What they giving you?" I said, "What you mean?" He said, "Money-wise, nothing." He said, "I give you 10,000, you sign with me." And 20 years later, I'm still out here, so that's what happened.
So being in the military, how'd you end up becoming an author?
So I always had a passion for writing, and shout out to my English lit teacher in junior, senior year, Miss Joshua at East Chicago Central High School. She poured the gift out of me, even when I didn't see it myself. So from then on, I just started writing, and then when I got overseas, I was living in Guam for 2 years. Shout out to my people in Guam, Chamorro Love. I wrote my first book, The Writer's Block, during the year 2013, in the month of April. Came back, a mutual friend, Rick North. He introduced me to a guy he knew who was an independent publisher. We published The Writer's Block, and once I got that first copy in my hand, it was like an addiction. So now we're 10 books deep.
10 books, and it's independently owned. You own it, right?
Independently black owned. Kawan Mayo, he actually created. I'm the director of marketing for it. So all the money just circulates.
Man, well, congratulations on that.
Appreciate it.
Now let's talk about mental health. What's something that you could tell? In our community, a lot of people don't want to discuss mental health, or they think you're soft if you have to talk to somebody. But what are your thoughts about it?
Being as somebody who's been going to therapy for 7 years now, mental health is a big thing. So I got diagnosed with anxiety. You know, I've been on 4 deployments. I've had friends who committed suicide while I was overseas. Seen a lot of stuff that, no man should see. So
right.
Therapy, at first, it was kind of taboo for me because it was the same thing, makes you look weak, tough men don't do that. But the more I went to therapy, the more I realized it's the best thing I could ever do because it releases those demons. It makes me look at myself like, okay, how am I doing this? How am I doing that? Like, it's okay. It's okay to say that I'm not okay.
Sure.
And it's also okay to say, hey, I am okay, but maybe I need to be fine-tuned in some areas. So I think the mental health stigma needs to die, especially in the black community, and we need to embrace that.
I agree 100%. We all have had friends or some people where they just snap out and you don't know what's going on.
Exactly.
And it's because they have those demons, as you said, or they just don't know how to express it. Mm-hmm. And then they can mess around and hurt someone or hurt themselves. So that's terrible. So also about being a poet. So did that come from writing the books, or how'd you become in poetry?
That also came from Miss Joshua.
Okay.
Senior year after we got to writing, we started studying poetry. And, of course, writing poetry for assignments, she told me one day you need to put your poems in the school paper. 16, 17 years old, Miss Joshua, I'm on the football, track team. I ain't about to have my boys roast me, and I'll never forget this. She said, women like poetry. And if you put your poetry in the paper, you might get girls. I said, man, 2 + 2 is 4. But all these years later, I realized that she didn't care about the girls. She just wanted to give me that extra motivation to tap into a gift that she knew I had and that I didn't at the time. And now, 20-some years later, I'm still doing it. Toured all over America, been ranked in the world at times. So It's definitely a beautiful feeling. It all started from having a black educator. So thank you, Miss Joshua.
Any mentors that you like to shout out besides her?
Jonathan Deacon Blair.
Okay.
He was one of the best poets on the San Diego slam scene. He's married now with 5 kids, so he definitely slowed down on that. But he was the one that fine-tuned me in the art of spoken word, and without him, I definitely wouldn't be where I'm at today. So big shout out to Deacon.
Did you ever rap?
Nah, I didn't rap. I knew my limits. Now. I knew my limits. You know, poetry on the stage, that's cool, but we ain't trying to be no baby or Waka Flocka. No, that ain't me right there.
But you enjoy the wordplay and rap and stuff because it's kind of the same type of thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Now, we discussed being in the military. What some of the, I guess, misconceptions people have about being in the military. Obviously, being in the Navy, I've learned a lot being here that, it's not easy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have to go out to sea, come back. Like, what's some experiences that you would recollect in those?
So the first misconception, I'm going to say this out of love, I don't know everybody's family member, because I know a lot of civilians think all the Navy, we just on one big ship. It's like 400,000 of us. So I may not know your family member. I'm sorry. Another misconception is we all going to war, we all getting shot at.
Sure.
Only 1% of us go to land. I've been in wartime scenarios and deployed in the area with hostile tensions, but I've never been shot at. Most of my stories from deployment is about partying, seeing different countries, interacting with different people. So I've had fun.
Sure.
Yeah, I've had fun.
Which is a good thing because that is a misconception that when you are in the military that you are mistreated all the time and that, what you're doing is serving our country, which is very important. As far as like, does that give you time to write while you're out on the ship?
When you out on the ship, it's necessary that you do something that takes your mind off the everyday grind, especially when you're deployed, because when you're deployed, it's like you can be out there for 6 days pulling to somewhere, or you can be out there for 120 days straight. So you don't just want to spend all that time, I'm going to work, go to sleep, work, go to sleep. You want to work. Hey, if your balance is, if your mental stigma is, hey, I need to work out to clear my head, do that. For me, it was writing books. For me, I just use an example, something I've done for at least 15 years. I go to a quiet area of the ship every morning when I was on deployment, and I just have 15 to 20 minutes to myself. And that set the tone for my day. So you definitely got to find balance. Definitely got to keep yourself busy, because if all you do is work and sleep, you will lose your mind.
True. And then you were saying that you're almost at 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So what do you plan on doing next after you get out of the military?
What I plan on doing next, I want to be a full-time motivational speaker. Okay. Speaking on mental health, DEI. I worked a lot of that in the military, diversity, equity, inclusion, that people don't know. Motivation and inspiration, because to be in the military, and not to brag on myself, but writing 10 books, doing the spoken word, touring, and me, interacting with a lot of celebrities that I've got to interact with, I definitely want to let people know it's possible. I definitely want to let people know that, hey, just because you're in this hectic world, whether it's military or not, go for your goals, live out your dreams. You can follow your passions, but more so follow your efforts. Okay, sure. Follow your efforts. Mark Cuban taught me that. Shout out to Mark. Met him in 2017 when he came to San Diego. So
sure,
definitely be on your grind out there.
Yeah, because you came a long way. Because people may not know of East Chicago, but it wasn't always like the safest place and the best place to live when growing up as a child, right?
Oh yeah. East Chicago. So first off, East Chicago is on the Indiana side of the border. Because a lot of people, soon I say East Chicago, but big shot towns, like we right by there. We're on the border. It's like East St. Louis, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri. So I ain't ashamed of my hometown, but being right there with Chicago and then Gary, Indiana, two former murder capitals. We're right in the middle. People can just imagine what it was. Tall story projects. Gang wars, drugs. Poverty. But to overcome them circumstances. Hopefully people listening to me like, man, if he can do all that coming from that type of environment, I know I can manifest my destiny. So don't let what you came up in define your circumstances for the future.
Yeah, because I'm sure you inspire people from where you grew up in your hometown as well. So you're definitely a testimonial for things of that nature for sure. Mm-hmm. As far as I how could you say? As far as, do you see yourself staying in San Diego?
Yeah, I see myself staying in San Diego for at least another few years. You know, this is definitely a place I want to lay my hat down. But you know, I know with being in the military, if I have to move around, if I feel a different vibe, or you know, I need a different scenery, you know, it's enough for me to just say, hey, I'm about to leave. Try this out. So, but right now, I do plan on staying in San Diego. I love the city. This is home to me. So
you love the burritos.
Oh yeah, I love burrito. Carne asada, baby. Shout out to Sayulitas, bacon wrapped, El Patron, El Cilantro. Some of my favorite spots.
We still gotta get a burrito. So those are your favorite. You like Lolitas? I like Lolitas.
You know, I ain't never been to Lolitas. All these years I ain't been to Lolitas.
We gotta go to Lolitas.
We got to.
My treat. I like the California burrito. It changed my life.
Oh yeah, with the fries, yeah, sir.
I'll never go to Chipotle again. It's not gonna happen. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely one of my favorites. You have any upcoming events that we could promote?
Upcoming event right now, I will be at the Fresh Start Gala. It's a gala hosted every year by Alfonso Ribeiro. For y'all that don't know, he most famous for playing Carlton on The Fresh Prince. He's a big partner of the organization, you know, basically giving back to kids who born with disabilities, don't have the same opportunities we do. Most of those children end up in St. Jude's hospitals. So definitely have that gala coming up. I'm not performing anything. It's just I'm one of the biggest supporters. They've supported me. So Alfonso will be there, Sterling Sharp, the brother of Shannon Sharp, a whole list of celebrities. So that's going to be a good thing. I have a private event in L.A. this Sunday for a huge young adult conference. So just to be able to motivate them, that's going to be a great thing. So
if we want to support any of these events, if you can give us the links, I could put it in the on the YouTube page as well.
Oh, yeah. Just go to my website, JoeMacSpeaks.com, JoeMac Speaks.com. I put everything that I'm doing on there. So if you want to find out if I'm supporting the organization, or even if just want to find a great black business, I have a support tab. Go on there, hit the link, and you'll find out what I'm doing.
They can get your books there too?
Oh, yeah, they can get the books there. All 10 of them.
Do you got a favorite?
My last one that I wrote, Confessions of a Black Caucasian, that is my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Mm-hmm.
And what's your favorite poem that you wrote?
Ooh. Oh, this is hard. So.
Okay, give me 3.
No, that was the name of the poem.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is hard. That concept, I wrote that poem probably about a year and a half ago. And I wrote it after I got divorced. I got divorced in 2019. I think I wrote that poem like 2020 or something. So because as poets, it's easy. People could write about this celebrity, that celebrity, this topic, that topic. But you rarely hear poets want to write about themselves. So I wrote this poem on all the negative aspects about myself, you know.
Oh, wow.
You know, about my dad dying, you know, my divorce, you know, things I've done back in the day, best friends dying. So I think I know that's the best poem I wrote because it opened up a side to me that a lot of people didn't know existed.
How long did it take you to write it?
I can't remember the time, but usually I might knock out a stream poem like that. I knock it out in probably about a week. And
do you know, like, I couldn't compare it to maybe cooking, but you know when you eat something you made, you like, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Same type of thing. Like, you like, it's done.
This that piece, yeah. all definitely, all day.
So then, do you, the reaction of people once they hear your stuff, is it like that where you say something and you can just tell they just get it?
Yeah, you can definitely tell because I know for me, my style, I'm brash and I'm loud, and the way I project it is like the words hitting you like, man, even if I don't want to listen, I have to listen.
Sure.
So you can definitely tell when you have the crowd, and as an artist, reading the crowd is so important because I've been to venues where people who went before me in the crowd's like, Actually, can I tell you a story on that?
Yeah, of course.
I was featured at the first Juneteenth in Vermont, and Klansmen in a hood started parading around while the young lady who was on stage before me was performing. So then all hell broke loose. You know, police had to come. Yeah. You know, it settled there. It stalled for about 30 minutes. And then, you know, she finished her set, but then after that, everybody kind of dispersed and the woman was telling the dude talking up there, yo, bring him up. Right. And I just started with the poem. I have this poem called The Anthem, which is a play on the national anthem. And I got about 5 or 6 cuss words in the first line, and I just started out with that because I said I need something to bring them back. And then I'm performing, and I'm just seeing all these people just starting to come in. I'm like, oh man, this is serious.
Right.
Next thing you know, I got like 700 people like almost in my face, and I'm like, oh boy. But I brought the show back, and it went off with a hitch. Lady gave me $100 when I came off stage. The host was like, hey, you want to leave for me? I said, yeah, let's go, because this is some tense stuff right here. I need a break.
Nah, it's the power of words. Like people say, don't let words get to you, but a thought and any words, that's how anything's made. It's a thought. It's the words you say. So, you got to protect what goes into your mind, what you see, what you hear. Because like you were even saying, there's stuff that you see that it change you once you see it.
Exactly.
So as I've been getting older, I try to really think about what content I'm consuming, what I listen to, the people I listen to, people I'm around.
Yeah.
All the stuff you heard since you was a little kid, now I'm starting to listen.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with that.
I want to let just the elders know, don't detract young kids from pursuing the performing arts.
Okay.
Because it's so much exposure. It's so many ways to make a living in this world. Everybody's not going to be the 4-year degree type, or I want to go to trade school or go to the military. We got to let kids sometimes find their own way.
Sure.
And, if they want to pursue the performing arts, my cousin LaTroy Hawkins pitched 21 years in the majors. His daughter, she's in theater right now in L.A., okay. So, he got all the money to send her to Harvard's, Yale's all day, but her passion was theater, so that's what he sent her. So I'm just tell people, like, if a kid wants to pursue the performing arts, let them, It's a beautiful field. It's a beautiful way to get out there. You can make a living. Sure. You don't need a PhD or a master's degree for everything. And I'm not saying it's not important, but there's many ways to make a living.
Yeah, and as far as, like, would that be a goal of yours to do that more than anything else?
I would definitely love to one day be like a performing arts coach, like a poetry coach. Sure. Especially to kids in inner city neighborhoods who feel like they don't have a voice.
Have you looked at any of the programs locally here? I'm sure you'd be an advocate. You'd be a big person there.
People hit me up every blue moon to help out with certain programs. It's not something I'm doing full time yet. I do want to get out and speak and motivate. But that's definitely something I do look to hopefully do in the future.
Yeah, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted this show to be not only like put a light on people like yourself, but a lot of people are gifted. They don't even know.
Exactly.
So like you said, the teacher was telling you about your gift, and we just do it like nothing. Yep. We don't even think about it.
Exactly.
And people are like, do you realize like how difficult it is to
exactly.
do? And you just like, oh man, I've been doing it my whole life. So I think that performing arts, any of that stuff, it's not like it used to be. Like if you were to sing or whatever, folks think you soft and stuff when I was a kid, but now like that stuff is cool. Yeah. Like and even being a bookworm is cool. Like what the guy say, the nerds run the world now.
They do. They absolutely do.
So if you like to read or you like to geek out and stuff, kids really shouldn't think that's a bad thing.
Exactly.
I mean, if you can figure out a way to make a living from it, then you can act with real freedom,
Exactly.
And then as far as like your next project, what type of book do you think you're going to write?
My next book, I actually have 2 on the shelf that I'm debating. I'm writing a love story. Okay. An urban love story. I've never done that before. And I'm also working on a tell-all from 20 years in the military. Okay. From a black man's perspective who's basically done it all in the military. So I want people to see the other side. People know about the deployments, people know about partying and all that, but I want them to see like the day-to-day, the mental traumas, what we really go through, especially because I tell people everything that happens in the outside world happens 10 times as much in the military. Racism, sexism, we got drug addicts, we got drunks. Dang. If you just seen the news, they just had 6 cadets at the Army West Point, I think it overdosed on fentanyl or cocaine, one of them. So same thing happens in the military. So I definitely want to shed some light on that.
If somebody were to go in the military, what advice would you give them?
The advice I would give them.
Yeah,
Just any random person.
Any random person, like you need direction. Like my cousin, as an example, he served in the military, but he was in El Paso, Texas, in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Options are not like what they are today, and he was getting in a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. So they told him, like, hey, if you join the military, so he joined the Army, ended up going to Vietnam, served, came back, and then he ended up being in the Border Patrol, and then ended up running the Border Patrol, and got awards from President Bush and all kinds of stuff. It changed his whole trajectory of his life because of the military was the first, I guess, seed that was planted, and then he followed through and did all necessary steps.
Gotcha.
So that's obviously a different time. Now things are way different, even from him or from me or from you. But as a kid coming out now, what kind of advice would you give?
Get everything you can out of them, because at the end of the day, no matter if you do 4 years or 20 years, you're just a number to them.
Sure.
Because the day I leave after Halloween, on November 1st, they're going to already have my replacement. Hey, thank you for your service. Here goes your DD-214, next person up. So if they taking everything out of you, taking time away from your family, just your personal life or whatever, make sure you get everything you can out of them. Everything.
I think that's great advice. Is there a poem you want to recite?
Ooh, I don't have any clean ones.
No.
That's the thing. I get brutal with it. I will say though, I just did a show in Hawaii with Anthony Highland. Anthony has been ranked Forbes best 30 under 30. So we did a show together, and I ended up performing this. I debuted this piece called Fresh Prince. And I mean, the crowd just loved it because I put every aspect of Fresh Prince in there, and I made it relate to us. And the one line that stood out, I mean, the crowd was just like, whoa. And I think it was some along the lines of, because, I'm not in performance mode right now.
Sure.
And I think I said, when I got grown, I realized that jazz was a representation of us, because every time we got close to coming off the block and making it on that plush couch, they threw us out the house before we had the chance to sit down. Because if you remember the show, Jazz was always kind of the outcast, the hood dude.
Throw it out.
Yep. Get close to sitting down. Yep. Gonna throw you out the house. So, but if you think about it, that's how they treat us in society.
Sure.
Hey, we the hood dudes. Oh, we get into the Bel Air lifestyle. Nope, get out of here. We don't want you. So,
you got a favorite poet?
So, a favorite poet? Yeah. Roderick Freeman. His stage name is Rodzilla. Okay. He's out of Sacramento, California. What's up, Rod? Not probably the best dressed poet I know.
Okay.
He if he comes to the show and you don't know who he is, you gonna know when he walk through the door. He gonna be suited and booted.
Right.
Dress shoes to the T. Rod's wordplay is just amazing. He sounds like a pimp / preacher / Malcolm X / just a intellectual, and you be like, I hear everything you saying, bro, but I don't know what type of brother you are. Like, you too street, you too smooth, all in the same breath. So like, man, like what kind of dude he is, but he is great. Rodzilla is definitely one of them. Okay. He's my top. And
then obviously you gotta love yourself as well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as your favorite book?
The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison.
That's a good book.
Yeah. Definitely my favorite. Definitely like to read. And that's the bad thing about reading sometimes, though. I got so many books at the crib that I haven't read.
Sure.
I'm bad for that. I get to reading, and I'm in the middle of one book. I'll buy like 5 more books, then I finish that book and like, okay, which one am I going to start next? And then like, now I go out buy another book, and I was starting that one when I got 5 more on the shelf that I ain't started some.
Do you do audiobooks? That's what I do.
I have not done an audiobook yet.
Yeah. I mean, it's good because, I don't know, you work out every day or not, you can put the book in the background and kind of listen to it with whatever you're doing. But, and then I obviously do a lot of YouTube.
Yeah.
But, yeah, sometimes when I read, I get really tired.
Oh, I understand.
Like, really tired. But, I try to always consume something every day to build on my mind because I feel like when they talk about like muscle memory and stuff, that people have that mixed up as well. They think that, book smart is one thing and physical smart is 2 different things. But I learned that No, it's the same thing. When you see a guy that can, like a Vince Carter, jump up, grab a basketball, put it through, and do all that. That's mental capacity to do that. No different than a surgeon or an engineer, or somebody can remember a bunch of things because you're telling your body to make these movements. And I mean, that's the misconception. They think that somebody's an athlete, they're not smart, but it's a different. I guess people have to say that it's not a different kind of smart because it's all the same thing. You're telling your body to do something.
Exactly.
Well, I think that I want to first and foremost say I appreciate you. I'm so glad that you came on the show today. I'd love to have you on again. I want to go to your next event that you have for poetry for sure. And any way I could support you, anything I could do, please let me know. I'm always here for you. And I definitely thank you for being on our 4th episode.
I definitely appreciate you for having me,
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'll get your information. Make sure we put in the link. Please subscribe to the channel and tell a friend and tell a friend. And thanks so much for our episode of Knowledge to Currency.